Hi, everybody. We're Vicki and Dennis, and we're from Seguin, Texas, and we're going to tell you this evening about our plant-based journey and maybe answer some questions if anybody has any. I've been plant-based for about 5.5 years now.
I became plant-based after I had my heart attack in February of 2015.
And that's our story. I started out 5.5 years ago, well, actually about 6.5 years ago. I had broken my arm. And excuse us. You didn't want me to show you my arm. Anyway, and my doctor, my orthopedic surgeon, the last day I saw him, all kinds of complications with my arm. He sat down and asked me what I ate, because I was telling him I was having lots of problems with my knees and my back hurt all the time, and I told him I ate chicken and fish and vegetables, and I thought I was fairly healthy, although I was taking medication for high blood pressure. My cholesterol was high, but I was trying to just deal with my cholesterol with diet because I didn't like taking the statin. So that's how I started. He told me to read the book, The China Study, and so I did. I went home that very afternoon and downloaded the China Study to my book reader and started reading. And about a third of the way through, I realized the China Study was telling the story of my life. I had grown up having problems with my stomach my whole life. I thought my indigestion and the problems I had with digestion and stuff were natural. I thought everybody felt the way I did. And I thought the aches and pains I was having, I thought my blood pressure, I felt for certain I would probably be diabetic one day because my dad was, my grandma's were. So I just thought that was the history. At that point in time, I was 60 years old. So I just thought I was going down the standard American path of poor health. I read the China Study and I realized I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to be sick. I didn't have to hurt. I didn't have to have problems with my stomach. I didn't have to have the rash on my arms that I had had my whole life. I couldn't remember not having the rash on my arms. So I jumped up and ran in the bedroom and yelled at him, "We're not going to have any more dairy in this house, because it also causes prostate cancer." And I told him, "You're not drinking that anymore," because he was drinking like 3 gallons, at least 3 gallons of milk a week. So that's kind of how I got started. Fast forward, within a couple weeks, that day I started reading the book. I hardly slept until I finished reading the book, The China Study. And if you haven't read it, I recommend reading it. It's not the easiest book in the world to read. It's not like reading a novel. There's a lot of scientific tables and stuff in here that are kind of boring, but I was fascinated. After I read that book, I read every book I could find on the subject of whole food plant-based dieting. I watched every video I could find, Forks Over Knives. I just went on this roll, and to the date I've read probably over 40 books, and try to get him to change too. I have not had an animal product in my mouth since that day.
I basically ate what she would fix. When she would fix the food, I would fix that. I would eat that. But in addition to that, I would eat basically whatever I wanted to, whether it was pizza or hamburger. And so I didn't abide by the diet. Basically, I thought I was healthy. I weighed like 207 pounds before my heart attack. And every year I'd go in for an annual physical, and they'd do the blood work. And 4 months before I had my heart attack, my total cholesterol was 187. So I'm thinking, well, I'm below 200. I'm doing what I had taken blood pressure medicine for 30 years. I'd taken cholesterol medicine for about 20 years. I'd taken medicine for triglycerides. So everything on the blood test showed that I was fine. Until I woke up about 4:30 one morning, took the dog outside.
he says, I think I need to go to the hospital, and I'm like, okay, and I rush around and get ready and take him to the hospital, and I'm a little bit nervous because I'm taking my husband to the hospital, and so when I went to get out of the car, I spilled my purse all over the place, so I told him, go on in, and I'll be in a minute, and I'm thinking the whole time, because he'd been out the day before with a chainsaw cutting down some tree limbs and stuff, and I thought he's pulled a muscle or something. Because I really didn't think he was in all that bad shape. So I get into the hospital, and there's people are running all around the room like crazy. And the doctor comes in, and he's sitting up there talking to him just like everything's normal. And the doctor says, Mr. Spradling, you're having a heart attack right now, and we've called the ambulance, and they're going to take you to Christa Santa Rosa. And he walks over and he taps me on the knee, and he said, you need to call your children. So that was the beginning of a crazy day. Well, actually, several crazy weeks. So we go on up to New Braunfels, and we get, they do a stent, and then they come out, and they tell me that, we got the heart attack stopped, but we need to do, he really needs more. He's got, a lot of blockages and stuff, and so, I said, go ahead and do the surgery, because I'm thinking, this could end badly if we don't do it. So we went ahead and did a quadruple bypass surgery, and while he was in the operating room, I was filled with all kinds of emotions, mostly fear, but also a little bit angry, because I thought if he had listened to me, if he had just listened to me and ate better, maybe we wouldn't be there. Which comes to find out is probably the truth. But while he was in surgery, I ordered him this book by Dr. Cottle Esselstyn, Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease. It had been one of the books I had read, but it was on my Nook, and so I wanted him to have his own copy. So I ordered him this book, and as you can see, he read it. It's all marked up on the inside, but he took it seriously. But not until after we got home. While we were at the hospital, one of the first meals they brought to my husband was a cheeseburger. I kind of flipped out. I honestly was not happy at all with that, because to me that's what put him there, was food like that. So I argued with the little gal bringing the food, and then I argued with the little nurse at the hospital, and then when we got home from the hospital, I argued with the little nurse that they sent out to our house to check on him. Then I argued with the insurance company, because they called, because all of them were telling him he needed to be eating a high-protein diet. The low-carb, high-protein diet, which I knew was wrong. So we, after this goes on for a couple of days, he says to me, maybe they're right. They're medical people. Maybe they're right. And I was like, no, they're not. So I sat down, and this is what truly changed our life. I sat down and I sent an email to Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, and also one to Dr. John McDougall. Never expecting them to answer me, but I was desperate. I was wanting help, because I was trying to save his life. And that afternoon, Dr. Esselstyn called us on the phone. That was the turning point. He called, he talked to us, he told Dennis that he wanted him to watch Forks Over Knives, which he had not watched. He wanted him to read this book, which he still hadn't read it, and he wanted him to look into his latest papers that he's written. And so he did it.
Yeah, basically I was in a lot of pain and suffering from the surgery. And I really wasn't interested in sitting there reading a book or anything, but basically when he called, and he said, I'm going to call you back next week. So then I said, well, I have to read this book. You're going to call back next week.
We're still pretty emotional about all of this. It's pretty scary. But we were so impressed that Dr. Esselman took the time to call us all the way from the Cleveland Clinic. He called us. He's the most caring man, one of the most genuine people you ever want to meet. And so he did it. And from that point on, we have both been totally whole food, plant-based, no oil diet. And I have to say that Dr. McDougall, he did call us the next day. Or no, he didn't call. He wrote us an email the next day and basically said, you know, the whole food plant-based diet was the right way to go. Not paying any attention to those people telling us to eat all of this high-protein, meat-based diet. And so we stuck around. So now he went from taking about 10 medications before his heart attack. High cholesterol, triglyceride medications, just all kinds of medications. He takes nothing now. I no longer take high blood pressure medicine. I've lost 70 pounds, and he's lost about 35 pounds. And it's so what we do now is we started just last month. We started a whole food plant-based monthly meeting at our church. We're determined to do what we can to help people in our community be healthy. Last month we had 60 people attend our meeting. We were very, very proud. I also, last week, I went and had a discussion with Mayor Don Kyle here in Seguin, telling him what I want to do, how I want to do what I can to get the word out that a whole food plant-based diet is what we should be eating as a society, as a community. We have our next meeting is this Thursday evening. We're looking forward to that. I hope it's as well attended as it was last time. I also we had a small meeting at the local library on Saturday, and Dennis and I were there telling our story and doing what we can to help people. I'm not seeing anybody on here.
Yeah, there's
There.
there's 23 people watching right now.
Okay. Because I'm not seeing hi, 23 people. Anyway, if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer what I can.
I've been talking for 12 minutes.
Only been talking 12 minutes? Okay, somebody's going to need to ask some questions. We have a way. This is the first time I've done anything like this. I go over some of the books that I have read, some of my favorite books. If you haven't read The Pleasure Trap, if you're struggling trying to stay focused on your diet, Dr. Doug Lisle, his book is a wonderful book to read. It kind of explains the nature of why we eat the way we do and how our taste buds work and the natural order of things. Also, I recommend watching his video, How to Lose Weight Without Losing Your Mind. You can find that on YouTube. That's a really good one. The diet that we follow most of the time is probably a combination between Dr. Esselman's and Dr. McDougall. We eat a lot of potatoes and a lot of starches, but we try to include as many dark leafy greens as we possibly can. Dr. Esselman wants you to eat them 6 times a day. And
that's probably one of the most challenging parts of the diet. I do okay on the no oil and eating the whole food plant-based diet, but getting 6 greens in each day, about the size of his fist, he says, after it's been cooked for 3 minutes. Well, one thing I did start this week is I started eating beets in addition to that, and I put the balsamic vinegar on there. basically what that does is it increases the nitric oxide so that your arteries dilate, and so you lower your blood pressure, and it helps a great deal. Even though I don't take blood pressure medicine right now, I still have to keep a close eye on it daily. My cholesterol's gone down, so it's in very good shape. Everything appears to be in very good shape. Now I do take flaxseed and put that on my oatmeal each morning. That also helps. I take the vitamin B12 generally every day, but we do need those supplements. We take the vitamin B12, but it gets easier and easier as time goes on to follow the diet. Of course, Vicki supports it, so that makes it a lot easier. Some of the challenging parts would be like when we travel. We generally wind up at perhaps a Chinese restaurant where we can get fresh steamed vegetables and perhaps steamed white rice. One time we were out in the middle of the desert in Arizona, but we found a Wendy's, so obviously you wouldn't think you could find decent food at a fast food restaurant. We wound up getting, each got a baked potato with nothing on it, and we had a salad each, and they were like, so we both of us were able to eat for like $4, but that was an extreme situation, but we were able to stay on our diet in that scenario.
Yeah, eating out is probably the hardest thing, and something I'd like to share with everybody that I've started promoting, and if anybody follows me on any of my plant-based website or Facebook pages, I'm really trying to get the word out to everybody. I think it's important that we do go out to eat, and when we do go out to eat, we do just what we should do. We should turn and look at the waiter, like Dr. Estlin says, and tell them, you know, under no circumstances can you have any oil in your meal. And you know, and then smile sweetly and say, so what can you do for me? And then, you know, because if we all go out and we request these things, sooner or later things will start to change. One of the things that's on my to-do list in the next few weeks is go to all of our local restaurants in our little town of Seguin and talk to them and say, you know, I've got this group of people that's coming to my meetings every month, you know, 60 people, 60 plus people. We need a place to go out to eat. What are you going to be able to offer? I don't expect them to change their whole menu, but I do hope that we can sit down together and look at the menu and say, okay, what could you do with this to make it a whole food plant-based meal so that we can go out to eat? Because it's very hard. Most of the time we can find something, but we have to plan ahead. But when we were was it last year when we were in Arizona that we went to a couple restaurants and sat down, and Italian restaurants are usually pretty good. You can usually get a pasta with marinara sauce, although you have to ask about the marinara sauce whether it has oil in it or not, because we just won't compromise that, especially because of his heart. But you know, we sat down, got our water, talked to the waitress. The waitress would go to the back, come back out. Basically, they can't do anything, so we politely got up and left, which we didn't want to do, but you know, our health is important, and so I think that's something that if each and every one of us on this plant-based journey, if we stand up and say, you know, this is what we can't have or what we don't want in our food, I think things will change. Just look at the gluten, the people with gluten sensitivities. You can go to any restaurant in the country probably and find gluten-free options.
Debbie Hilbert says, what does your daily food plan look like?
Okay, our daily food plan, it's basically very simple. In the mornings we will either have oatmeal with frozen berries and cinnamon, and we put the flaxseed on them, or what I've been doing lately, and it has been something I've been really hooked on, is we get the frozen hash browns, or we get them from H-E-B, the ones that have no oil in them, and I have a griddler, and I put a layer of the frozen hash browns on, close the lid for about 20 minutes, and while that's cooking, I have a big skillet, and I probably have 2 pounds of vegetables, wouldn't you think? 2 pounds of frozen vegetables I put in there. I put a bag of power slaw, a whole bunch of frozen broccoli, frozen stir fry, some spinach, and maybe some frozen kale. And seriously, it's probably 2 pounds worth of vegetables. Then I just kind of water saute it with a little bit of unsalted vegetable broth, and I sprinkle some turmeric and black pepper, and I cook that up. And then when the hash brown is done, I take my vegetables and put them on top of the hash brown. And he puts salsa on his, but I usually just eat mine like that. And that's a wonderful breakfast if you haven't tried it. Lunch, a lot of times we'll have, I fix mashed potatoes in my Instapot a lot, and then have some kind of vegetables with that, or rice, vegetables. We eat pretty simply. I discovered Jill's cheese sauce, so that's been fun making that. And for supper, usually pretty much about like what we have for lunch, just maybe just switch it around a little bit. And then sometimes for supper we'll make nice cream. For dessert we'll make nice cream about maybe once a week or something, and do the bananas and a frozen fruit along with it.
Mandy Curran Beneke says, how did your doctor respond to you telling them you had success with a whole food plant-based diet, and did your doctor take you off your meds reluctantly?
Well,
in my particular case, after I had the surgery, luckily, miraculously, I guess I would say, the lady doctor was a vegan, or at least she'd practiced vegan, so she was very sympathetic. And we mentioned Dr. Esselstyn's book, and she was aware of his book. So, however, that's the exception to the rule. Unfortunately, her husband was in the military, and so she transferred away. Subsequent to that, it's not been that great. It's been more of a grudging. I have to push them and explain to them what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and they grudgingly will allow me to do what I want to do, which was eventually to get off all my meds. Getting off the statins, the Lipitor, if you will. Eventually I convinced them. I said, look, here's my cholesterol level. It's below 150. As Dr. Esselstyn says in his book, if your total cholesterol is below 150 and your bad cholesterol, or LDL, is below 80, you should be heart attack proof. And so eventually I showed him that I was in good shape there. Of course, sugar's never been a problem for me. My triglycerides were down low, and so the last thing that they were willing to let me get off of was the high blood pressure medicine. And so gradually I told them, I'm getting dizzy if I don't. And when I'm taking this blood pressure medicine that you prescribed, I get dizzy if I get up too fast. And so after I took them, I did for like 100 days, I took my blood pressure and I showed them what the results of the blood pressure was, and they grudgingly agreed to allow me to do that. But it's been a hard sell after.
Yeah, it's like almost like an argument every time we go.
And they did, and you would, again, I'll get this is kind of personal, but it would seem to me that they should learn more. I understand they might not have had the medical training or the dietary training in their initial training, but if we can learn this stuff, a doctor should be able to learn this stuff. If that's his profession, that's the way I see the world. So.
Yeah, I agree. And as far as myself goes, I took myself off my blood pressure medicine, but it's been probably 4 years ago, or maybe probably within 6 months of going off with plant-based, because I was having the same thing, and I said, I'm just not taking it anymore. My blood pressure, stays really, really good all the time, and so I just stopped taking it. And I haven't been to my doctor in over 3 years, because I haven't been sick. Something that I don't know, many of you have been doing this for a while, but I haven't had as much as a sniffle in over 3 years, and I used to, every fall, I would have something. It was like October, November, I'd get sick. For 30 years that we've lived in Texas. And every spring, March, whatever, I'd get sick. I haven't in over 3 years. So that's my story. Yeah.
Basically, the other doctors, either they just ignore what you say and just kind of, one person was going to have surgery for, he basically kind of laughed under his breath. And so now the doctors, at least with that one exception, generally the doctors have been non-responsive or not supportive or grudgingly agreeable. In our particular instance, it hasn't been a positive experience.
Yeah, well, one exception here personally, and I have to say, Dr. Irvin Sani, my orthopedic surgeon, he's absolutely fantastic. In fact, I'm hoping he's able to come to our meeting tomorrow evening. He's concerned, not tomorrow, Thursday evening. He's been absolutely fantastic, and he's the one that started this for us. He got me to read the China study, which that's not the type of book I normally would pick up, but he seemed certain that I would enjoy it, and I sure did.
Susie Brady says, what is power slaw?
Oh, Susie. Hi, Susie. How are you, sweetie? They sell it at HEB. It comes in a little bag, and it has I think there's like broccoli and carrots and I'd go get a bag. Broccoli, carrots, Brussels sprouts,
cabbage. Is there cabbage?
I think there's cabbage in it.
Carrots.
Carrots.
It's like julienne. It's cut up.
It just has a lot of really good for you things in it, but they sell it at HEB, and it's called Power Slaw. It's in the produce department.
I think that's all the questions I see on here. We haven't even been talking for 30 minutes, so.
Okay. All right, people, you need to ask us some questions. Okay. All right. This book is one of my favorite books that I can tell you about, and the reason why we like this book so much, it's Dr. McDougall's newest book, and it has in the center his color picture book. And if you're not familiar with that, you can find his color picture book on his website, and you can print it yourself if you want to, but I think it's 60-some pages, so you might not want to use up that much ink. But we recommend this when we're talking to people about possibly changing to this diet and lifestyle. We recommend this book because, and look at here, see, it's actually signed by Dr. John McDougall.
What's the front of the cover look like again? Okay.
Yes, we got to meet him at Health Fest about a month ago, and that was on my bucket list, meeting him. But this book it's short, sweet, and to the point, and has some really good recipes, and it's wonderful.
Uses the stoplight.
Yeah, it's like a stoplight. You can see
red for things you shouldn't eat,
Yeah.
yellow for the cautionary type items, and green for those things that you want to try and consume as much as possible.
Right. So so we highly recommend this. We got my sister-in-law a copy of this book. She lives up in Illinois, and she has struggled with diabetes for over 30 years. And we've been working with her just over the phone and through the internet, trying to help her because they were giving her a medicine that was causing her.
They wanted her to start taking insulin, which she didn't want to do, and then also they were going to told her that she needed to start taking this additional medicine, which was going to be $500 a month, which she couldn't afford.
Yeah.
And so based on that, she was willing to start looking into this, and we kind of coached her along. And
She's down to just part of one tablet a day. She's just about completely cured her diabetes. I think if she wasn't having to take steroid shots for her back, she probably would, because steroid shots will raise your blood cholesterol and also your blood sugars. So, and then I'm sure a lot of you are probably familiar with the book, The Starch Solution. got to be one of the best books ever written. This guy knows what he's doing. Dr. John McDougall, his diet makes a lot of sense. I've read every book he's written, and some of them, you're looking to find some books, you can go to Amazon and you can get some of his older books for like a penny plus $3.99 shipping. And so I've read every one of his books. His story really hasn't changed. He's been talking about the same diet for probably the last 40-some years. And what has changed is how he has been, the stories of success have changed. Because the more he's done it, the more successes he has seen. So that's a really good book. And then if you all are not familiar with Chef AJ, she's absolutely a riot. And her book, Unprocessed, is also one of my favorite books. She's funny. She used to be a comedian, so she's very funny and very entertaining. Wouldn't you say? Sometimes.
But she gets serious, pretty serious once she starts focusing on the cooking. But yeah, she's a character.
Yeah, she's really funny. There's actually a video of her. Was it on Johnny Carson?
Yes.
On Johnny Carson.
Flute nose lady.
The flute.
Nose flute lady or something.
The flute nose lady or the nose flute lady or something. Look that up if you want a good laugh. And that was her probably 40, 50 pounds heavier than she is now. She's an itty bitty little thing now. She's teeny tiny. But anyway, if you're trying to lose weight, her book Unprocessed is really good. And she also has a video on YouTube about I'm about to say something. Skinny from, I think it's from Skinny Bitch to...
Oh my God. Jeez. Oh, we're going to have to go off air now. Jeez.
Well, I don't know what it was. Excuse us. Anyway, it's on YouTube. Look up Chef AJ. You'll find what I'm talking about. Excuse me.
People are laughing. It's okay.
I hope you're laughing.
Oh, here we go. From fat vegan to skinny bitch. I guess it really is. That's what it is.
That's
really what it is. Okay.
But it's funny. It's funny, but she gets her point across. Okay. Let's see. What else? Is there any questions?
They're all laughing.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Let's see. This lady said, Debbie Bravo Brownlow said, I thought you guys looked familiar. I was at Health Fest with my husband. We are going to Dr. McDougall's 10-day program in June.
Oh, wow. How exciting is that? That's amazing. That's amazing. I would love to go. Even though we seem to have our journey figured out, I would love to go. Just to have him be my doctor for 10 days would be a dream. A couple of the things that if you have not seen Eating You Alive, this video, it's very powerful. It's I can't say enough good things about this one. To me, it's taking over. It's taking the place of Forks Over Knives, which is what I always recommend for people to watch. But this one's even better. So if you haven't seen it, you need to. You can order it. You can order the DVD. Just Google Eating You Alive, or you can download it for $3.99 to watch it one time, or $9.99 so you have unlimited. You can watch it whenever you want to. Which I recommend people do at least that, because that way they can share it with family and friends to kind of get them on board if they're not.
Okay, somebody said, what was the first, Sherry Hansen said, what was the first book you mentioned?
The China Study.
China Study.
Yeah.
Dr. T. Colin Campbell.
Yeah.
And then Susie says she would like some tips on converting children, like an 8-year-old that loves cheese.
Oh, okay. Susie, have you made Jill's cheese sauce? If you haven't, that would be my first thing to recommend.
You don't have the recipe off the top of your
I
head?
don't, but tell Susie I'll send it to her.
I'll tell you, Susie. She'll send it to you.
I'm not a technical person. I hope
Tracy
everybody-
Bauman says, I missed the first part. Did you have high cholesterol? How long did it take you to get under 150?
I would say it happened relatively quickly because in addition to the diet, I was also taking a lot of medicine. So it happened relatively quickly, I would say within a month or two. But then as I also weaned myself off the medicine, that was a more gradual process because I'd go back to the cardiologist every 3 months and show them where I was at, and then eventually they agreed to let me get off. So
Yeah.
I would say it took approximately 6 months total to get off of it, to convince the doctors that I was safe. But I was a bit cautious because having gone through quadruple bypass surgery, as I say, it's extremely painful, and I was very cautious because I didn't want to go through it again. Having my cholesterol at 187 before I had the heart attack, I didn't really trust people. I didn't trust the doctors, having been through that horrible experience. And that's the whole purpose in us doing this, is if we can convince one person to do it.
It's important to us that we convince people that it's not worth it. It's not worth it because a lot of people don't survive a heart attack. A lot of people don't know they have a problem and they're just gone. We lost a good friend just a few weeks ago, and it's hard. It's really hard.
Debbie says that she's going to go see What the Health this Thursday.
Yes.
You saw that?
Yeah. That's the next one I wanted to tell you. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you see this. It's a very good movie too. These two movies will change your life. If you're not already completely convinced, these two movies will change their life. Let's talk about converting families just a little bit. I know Jill has talked about that, and she's actually coming to our monthly meeting next month, and that's one of the things I want her to talk about is how she kind of transitioned her family into doing this. I went cold turkey the day I read that book, started reading that book. Well, as we've talked about, it took him a couple years, almost 3 years, 3 years before he changed, and it took an emergency situation for him to do. But I think as grown-ups and older people, we have had some health problems or health issues. So we see the error of our ways, let's say, and so we're like, okay, if we do this and we get better, like my hands no longer are stiff, I don't have problems with my knees or my back anymore, my high blood pressure's gone, I lost 70 pounds, but I had reason to do that. When the younger people, younger family members, it's different. And my daughter, who is being our camera person, because we had no idea how to set this up and do this, so she's here, and that's who you hear talking to us too. She eats pretty good. We've got her pretty much convinced that this is the way to go. She's not 100% by any means, but she does pretty good. Her kids, not so much. The daughters eats fairly healthy. The son, my sweet grandson, is addicted to cheese. And my son-in-law, I worry about him all the time, but he will eat what Stacy fixes for him, and he she cooks pretty good for him. She cooks a lot of whole food, plant-based meals. So.
Well, what we're going to do, we're going to bribe them. I told them I'll pay them each $100 if they'll sit down and watch that movie, Eating You Alive. So I think I've convinced them that they'll do that. So they agreed to do it. So I figured, you know, if I can get all 8 of them to do it, $800 is the best money I ever spent.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I mean, I'm out weekly, daily, doing what I can to get this community healthy, and I've got to try to drag my family along too, because they're the most important. But it's interesting, as kids go. I have a friend.
Susie says she hasn't seen the movie either.
Oh, she needs to see.
Come over, Susie.
Come on over. You can put on a disguise or something. We'll think you're one of ours. But trying to transition kids, that's something that I really want to pursue. I wish I had started this when my grandkids were younger. I might have had a better chance to change them, because they just don't feel the pressure. Like when you're older, you have health problems or have health issues, or something's not right. You don't feel as good as you did when you were younger. But young kids, they don't feel that yet. So trying to convince them, that's a hard thing to do, I think. But
somebody says they can't find What the Health on Amazon. Where did you get it?
It's not. You have to tell them to Google What the Health. You have to buy it from let's see. This says whatthehealthfilm.com. Yeah. I found a link on Facebook for it, and you can also download it for $9.99. But I wanted the actual physical copy so that I can take it and show people. Because I'm willing to go to people's homes if they get a group together or whatever, and do what I can.
I don't really see any other questions on here. Susie mentioned nutritional yeast. I don't really know much about what do y'all put nutritional yeast in?
Okay, that's something you'll use in the cheese sauce that I'm going to send you the recipe for. It's good, like if you make like a pasta with marinara sauce and some vegetables, you can sprinkle it on and use it kind of like you would Parmesan. Some people take it and grind like a nut with it, like cashew, or I think I've seen people use walnut, and then they add the nutritional yeast and sprinkle that on their pasta. That's really good. It has a cheesy type flavor. It's used in a lot of different recipes.
Debbie says, is the movie Eating You Alive the best for converting adult children?
Yes,
Yeah.
I would think
It's
so.
the most convincing in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Stacy, don't you?
Yeah, I like that movie better than Forks Over Knives, and I think it's very informative. The people that I've given it to watch have been very impressed with it too.
And there are a lot of doctors in there, and in the context of the movie, a lot of those doctors becoming the patients.
Yeah.
So to me, it's a much more compelling, compassionate story. So.
Yeah. I would say definitely get it and show it to your adult children. We're not going to promote that everybody paid their children $100 each, but if that's what it takes, go for it.
Cook them a vegan meal and invite them over. That would be good.
Yeah, that's what we do. Oh, well, that's something that we did this year for Easter for the very first time. We did a totally plant-based meal for Easter. And the past years, so I've gone ahead and done the ham and rolls and the traditional thing, and then we were left eating a few sides, and I just decided we just don't believe that, so I'm not feeding that to my children and grandchildren in my home anymore. So we didn't, and it turned out okay. Don't you think, Stacey? Was it
was good. The desserts were really good.
Yeah. And I made Jill's cheese sauce and put it on macaroni and cheese, and my grandson said, "It ain't too bad."
Yeah.
Which that was, if you knew my grandson, that was a miracle.
So describe what all the meal was.
Oh,
What all
okay.
did you have?
We had, I made Jill's, I did a lot of Jill's recipes. We did barbecue soy curls, and
Where do you get soy curls?
Butler soy curls from, and you have to order, if you Google Butler soy curls, it'll come up to their website where you can get them. And we order a 12-pound box of them, which is a lot. And we've had some now for quite some time, but we had barbecue soy curls for Easter, and we did broccoli and rice and cheese casserole that Jill has a video about. And I made the cheese sauce with the cashews to put over the macaroni for my grandchildren. And let's see, what else do we have? Oh, some steamed kale with balsamic vinegar. And another thing. Then for desserts, I did a banana bread that my oldest granddaughter likes a lot. I did a carrot cake for my middle granddaughter. She likes carrot cake. And then I did the sweet potato chocolate cake. That's all I remember that we had. Does that sound right?
And some honeydew melon.
Oh, and some honeydew melon. Oh, and strawberries. I had fresh strawberries.
Yeah. And Taylor's almost 20, but she likes those soy curls, like kind of like a barbecue sandwich.
Yeah.
She likes that. Let's see.
And my son, when he was leaving, because he made a face when he saw what we were having, but when he was leaving, he said, "Mom, the food was good." So that's a big step too.
Kathy Williams says, before I order the What the Healthy video, do you recall any graphic viewing of animal abuse, slaughtering? I hate those, she says.
And What the Health, there is a little bit, but not a lot. It's mostly, and mostly what it's about is you don't really see too much of animals. It's more about, they talk about the hog farms in the Carolinas and the wastewater and all that stuff. It goes in, there's a pretty good section about that. There's a little bit, I don't remember exactly, but there's a little bit. But I know what you mean. If any of you have tried to watch Earthlings, I couldn't do it. And I don't recommend that one, especially anybody that has children around. You don't want to be watching that one. That one's just too brutal. And while we're talking about it and eating you alive, there's a little bit of it too.
It's just kind of towards the end, though. You probably just fast forward through it if
Yeah, that's what I would do.
It's not too bad. No.
And it's not too bad, and I would just look away when it comes on. Yeah. The sad part about it is, as much as I hate to see those. I mean, I think because on a lot of the videos there's a pretty good section of them, and I hate to see that. But the sad part about it is it's true. It's what really happens, and that's it's hard.
you have about 12 minutes left.
Okay.
Something.
What else can we talk about? Is there anything anybody wants to talk about? I want to talk about how my weight loss went, or
Yeah.
okay, I'll tell you about how my weight loss went. The first year of doing this, I lost 40 pounds without a problem. It was just like it just kind of melted off. I didn't feel like I was even trying to lose weight. And then I stayed where I was at for a long time, probably a year and a half before it started going again. And I did struggle a little bit to start losing again. And then all of a sudden it started coming off again. And since then and then once it started, I lost another 30. I'd like to lose another 10. According to Dr. McDougall's website and whatever, I'm still about 20 pounds overweight. I wear the same size I did back before I had children, so it can't be too bad. But there's some rolls. I'd like to get the last 10 pounds off. So.
Lou Ann Lay says, after starting your plant-based journey, did you ever have difficulty getting distracted with convenience foods and then gain weight?
Not really. I did when I first started this, I was reading all this stuff about being vegan, and for the most part, I was whole food plant-based, and I had quit cooking with oil, even probably before I even did this. But when I would go out to eat, before his heart attack, if I'd go out to eat, if there was oil in my food, I didn't worry about it. And I would, for a quick snack, I would maybe pick up one of those small packages of Oreos, because Oreos are vegan. They're not at all good for you, but they're vegan. So I would do that on occasion. But since he had his heart attack, I'd say no. I don't. It's been a process to learn to go to the grocery store and read all the labels and be very, very careful. Pretty much just don't buy processed foods or convenience foods. And where we live in our little town of Seguin, we don't have the luxury of having like a Whole Foods close by where they have like vegan convenience foods. So they just don't exist. So it's not something we can go pick up. I did try some vegan sausages one time from Whole Foods, but I wasn't impressed. That's been back probably the first few months of my doing this.
Debbie says, do you eat avocados or put cashews in your cheese sauce?
Okay. I will eat an avocado on occasion, especially if I'm out out someplace and we get a salad and they have avocado. He does not. And
Well, go ahead.
yeah, the cheese sauce that I made to put over the macaroni and cheese, I did use the cashews in it because I wanted it really creamy for Sheldon, my grandson. But I will do the regular cheese sauce without the cashews in it for us just to have here. Just to save the fat. We're really careful about him not having any added fats. That goes to what Dr. Esselton says. He doesn't do any fats at all.
I try to follow his book religiously, and if he says no avocados, no nuts, then I don't touch them. So he says in his book, that compliance is the order of the day, and chapter 5 of his book says moderation kills. And when we went to Dallas, there was a man who got up and talked about how he started following Dr. Esselstyn's book, diet, and then kind of deviated from it. He wound up having another heart attack.
And more surgery.
And more surgery. So in order to make sure that I don't go down that road again, I do not. I follow it by the letter. So in many respects, I'm more strict than her. She hasn't had a heart attack, so.
And I never will.
Edith Lynch says, I'm a big label reader. Need to stay on a very low sodium vegan diet. I don't know if I can ever do without oil. Any ideas?
I will say that, watch all the videos about oil so that you say to yourself, okay, I really don't want that stuff in my body. If you watch Dr. Esseltyn's, if y'all can give me, when we get through here, I'll get on and I'll post the link to the video I'm talking about where he talks about oil and how damaging it is to your endothelial cells, and that might be helpful. The other thing about giving up the oil is once you do, you're going to find your food tastes 100 times better. The difference is remarkable because you're really going to be tasting the food and not that filmy stuff that you get. And now, if I were at a restaurant and Stacy knows, if I've been at a restaurant and I'll take a bite of food and they have not listened to me and they put oil in it, first thing I said, there's oil in this, don't I? Because I can taste it. You can taste it right away. There's a distinct difference in your food.
Also, when you get it in your mouth, if you haven't had it for a long time, it kind of sticks to your tongue and coats the inside of your mouth and kind of goes, yeah. So the only thing that, a lot of people use oil to saute. Well, we use the vegetable stock,
broth or
unsalted vegetable stock to saute vegetables and such in lieu of the oil. So in that respect, you can do away with it, and we just feel very strongly about it. And as Vicki says, Dr. Esselstyn talks in his book about how it damages the endothelium, which is your first line of defense against a heart attack, and so it's extremely important that you avoid the oil.
Right, and I'll just say that if I find a recipe and it has oil, a lot of times you just cook it without it and it tastes just fine and it works just fine. So, Debbie says, what kind of bread do you eat?
We get we don't eat a whole lot of bread, just kind of got out of habit. We were just talking about this the other day. Ezekiel bread from the frozen food department at, H-E-B sells it. If you go to Whole Foods, if you're lucky enough to get a close one, you can get rolls, like buns and rolls and tortillas, all kinds of stuff from Ezekiel, which is fine. Or the other one we get at Costco, Dave's Killer Bread. Now, that one does not have oil either. They do have a lot of nuts and seeds in them, but we keep those, and we keep it in the freezer because we don't, like I said, we don't eat a whole lot of bread, but that's what we will get. For Easter Sunday, when we had the family over and we were having the barbecue soy curls, I did buy a whole wheat bun. It had oil, but we couldn't find anything, and I wasn't going to drive to San Antonio to get some Ezekiel bun. So I think eventually I probably will get a bread maker and make our own, but I just haven't done it. To be honest with y'all, I don't like to cook. Thank goodness for Jill, because her videos are so much fun, and I cook with her and follow what she's doing, and then that's fun. But I'm not much of a cook.
One of the hardest things to give up was the bread, but it just became such a struggle to find something that I felt comfortable eating, and so we just got away from sandwiches. And other than she'll occasionally have the Dave's Killer Bread, which has a lot of fat in it because it has seeds in it. It doesn't have any oil, as she said.
Yeah, but it has a lot of seeds in it.
And the Ezekiel bread, to me, I just never acquired a great taste for it. I tried it, several loaves, but I just eventually gave up on it.
Yeah. One thing that we still do, that he still eats some, is he gets shredded wheat for a cereal. I mean, that's changing the subject, but he gets shredded wheat. That's one of your old habits you still have. He'll eat a bowl of cereal maybe once a day.
Shredded wheat's
yeah,
okay
shredded wheat's
Dr.
okay.
Esselstyn.
Yeah.
Shredded wheat and grape nuts are
Yeah,
okay.
are the two cereals that are okay. My point is, they're probably the only two processed things that we probably keep.
Yeah, we'll eat corn tortillas. We can find corn tortillas here locally that do not contain oil, but the flour tortillas, we haven't been able to find anything here locally that is within our price range to satisfy that requirement.
Yeah. So.
Okay, you got 2 minutes.
Okay, we've got 2 minutes, people. Ask your last question.
Just Betty Martin just says, I'm still new at this and I don't miss the oil at all. It also makes cleanup so easy without oily dishes and cookware.
Oh yeah, that's something that surprised me, because we're brought up thinking we need the oil so stuff doesn't stick. Things are so much easier to clean. Yeah, so that was a surprise. Oh, and the other thing that I don't know if anybody else has noticed this or not, but your teeth stay much cleaner. You don't have that tartar buildup and stuff on your teeth. And I don't know whether that's just the change in the diet, or if that has something to do with not having the oil also. So that's something I've noticed.
How much fruit do you eat?
I try to eat not more than 3 fruits a day. Like I'll have, if I have breakfast with berries and my oatmeal, and then I'll have maybe an apple some other time during the day as a snack. Or if I don't have the breakfast berries, I'll have maybe an apple and maybe an orange in the afternoon. Or sometimes I'll have like yesterday I had 3 fruits. I had an orange, I had an apple, and then I had, last night I made the nice cream, so I probably had 4 fruits, because I had bananas and cherries is what I made my nice cream with last night.
And that's one place where I struggle to stay in compliance with Dr. Esselstyn's book. He says not more than 3 servings of fruit per day, but that one sometimes between the berries in the morning and the a banana or something, it's hard to stay within that 3 servings per day.
Fruit is just good stuff.
Linda Lawless says, do you use an air fryer or dehydrator?
I have an air fryer, and I use it occasionally. When I first got it, I used it quite a bit, mostly just I'd slice potatoes real thin and season them with garlic powder and different things, and then put them in there, made like fries. I used it a lot, and I kind of gotten out of the habit of using it actually, but I got that griddler, and to get my potato fix with the crunchiness, but I do my hash browns, and so that's what I've gotten out of the habit of using air fryer. I would like to use it more. I'll have to get Jill on board and doing some air frying things.
Debbie Vinge says, which plant milk do you use on your cereal?
I use, for my cereal, I use the cashew, it's silk, unsweetened vanilla. It's 25 calories per serving, an 8-ounce serving. I try to use it sparingly on my shredded wheat or whatever cereal it is that I'm eating. But that's what works best for me. It has the least number of calories and has the smallest amount of fat. I asked Ann Esselstyn, who's Dr. Esselstyn's wife, and she told me that there was so little cashews in that milk that it was still met his compliance of avoiding nuts, even though I have heart disease.
Yeah, so that's kind of what we do.
But you use soy milk for
if I'm making a recipe or something, I usually get the unsweetened soy if I'm cooking something. My favorite milk, plant-based milk, is almond milk, but I usually don't buy it because I very rarely will have a bowl of cereal or do anything with milk unless I'm cooking with it for something, baking something or something. I have found. Okay. All right. Are we?
I think y'all did your hour.
Okay. All right. Goodbye, everybody. It's been fun.
I think somebody asked about books and stuff, but you can maybe make a list or comment with a list of the books and
yeah,
stuff.
I can do that, and I'll. And if anybody's still there, if y'all want to send me a message, I'll try to answer anything. Okay. Be happy to. All right. Bye.
Thank you.